Hello, everybody. It is me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and do a few reality shows on the side. And one of those reality shows that we're going to do is Below Deck Med. But before we get into that, it was a really windy day today. Like, it was crazy windy. Like, when I got home, I looked like Anne Burrell. I'm not even joking. And if you don't know who she is, Google her. P.S. I love Anne Burrell. I think she's fierce. Anyways, okay, now back to Below Deck Med. So remember how last week I was kind of talking about how, there was this episode and it seemed they got along fine. And then Bobby and Hannah were on Watch What Happens Live later that night and they ended up just taking a dramatic left turn in the middle of the show. And then they were just totally, well, Bobby was trying to rip Hannah to shreds, and Hannah was completely eviscerating Bobby. And then that spilled out even further online into social media. And then Captain Lee from the original Below Deck was commenting. I mean, it was epic. It was epic, right? Well, this week, which was actually last week's episode, I know I'm still getting caught up. This week was interesting because we got to kind of see that Bobby harbors a lot of resentment towards Hannah. And Bobby thinks that Hannah is always trying to cockblock Bobby and that Hannah wants Bobby for himself. Okay, so as a viewer, I definitely don't think that's the case. I definitely think that, and especially as an American, you know, that's I think that might be Bobby's problem, is that he's seeing things through American eyes and he's not seeing the world picture, right? So Hannah is Australian and she sees sex and relationships a lot more differently than a girl from America would, Whereas suppose she's not as slutty as like a girl from like Iceland, right? So, I don't think that one kiss with Bobby that happened a long time ago last season would really, excuse me, I don't think that one kiss would really mean that much. I mean, I really don't. So that does come off like Bobby's a little bit full of himself, right? Especially because, so later that night, Hannah and Malia, the new deckhand, are, first of all, let's wait before we get into all of this, because this is a lot of deep psychosexual babble that we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something else first. Let's talk about Captain Sandy. First of all, I love me some Captain Sandy. I really do. I think she's fierce. And even though at first she was kind of getting on Hannah's nerves, she actually paid Hannah a fierce compliment, and Hannah was like, okay, And honestly, as a boss, one of the best things that you can do for your employees is to tell them when they've done well, right? Because my favorite bosses in life have always told me I've done a good job every time, right? And B, if you see that someone is struggling in something and they have the potential to learn it, you teach it to them, or you make sure that they learn it, right? And that's exactly what she does with everyone. She got in there and she started scrubbing with Hannah in between before the charter guests arrived. She got in there and she was helping Malia with the Tinder go back and forth until she figured it out. She went and she found, Bobby had fucked up the anchor drop and she was, explaining how that's going to work. So, I mean, all of that stuff is like, they might feel like she is micromanaging, but they don't understand what it's like to have a boss that doesn't really give a shit what you do, right? Or doesn't tell you unless you've done something wrong. That's fucked up. And I love that she's not like that. I really do. I totally like her a lot. And hello, she's been in the business for like, what, 22, 25, 27 years? I mean, that's obviously the bitch knows what she's talking about. Okay, enough about that. Anyways. Okay, so back to, I think she's great. I think she's really awesome. I think that her and Hannah had a little bit of friction at first, but she worked through it. And we also found out that she's quasi bisexual because her last relationship was with a female, but she's more really into the person. If she's going to be with a guy, she's going to be with a guy. She's going to be with a girl. I don't care. I think I honestly, before I even knew she was part of the gay brigade, I thought she was great before then because I thought her work spoke for itself. But now that I know that she's a member of the gay brigade, I think she is 10 times more fabulous. So I love me some Captain Sandy. I really do. I think she's great. And not just that, okay, here's another example. So Wes, who is an incredible employee, right? He was going to do Anchor Watch the night that they all went out to eat, right? Because she treated everyone to dinner. That was what she wanted to do for her crew. Again, that's very nice. Although, to be perfectly honest with you, meals can only go so far, right? If you, instead of saying good job if you take someone out to dinner, I would rather hear good job, to be perfectly honest with you, than be taken out to dinner every single time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It just seems a little disingenuous to me, but you know, but for the first night, it makes sense that she did that. She wants to get to know the band, and she let the people in and get to know her. She didn't have to divulge any personal issues. Captain Lee certainly hasn't. I mean, I'm sure he probably has in one-on-one time with people off the boat because he's friends with a lot of the people that he's worked with off the boat. We've just never seen that on camera. So when they were all out, okay, Malia and Hannah got drunk, and oh my God, wait, before that, okay, so there's in every single yacht, there's always an escape hatch, and they're always in random places, and there was one this time right over the female's shower. Well, it came crashing down one day and it busted the shower door, and Malia was in there and she had just glass all over her face and her feet were all bloody. And Bobby's like, look, I'm an EMT. Let me help her. And Hannah was like, slow your roll, buddy. Let me make sure that she is okay enough for you to even see her. She's in the shower trying to wash off the broken glass. I don't want you seeing her naked unless it's that much of an emergency, okay? And he's like, I'm a professional. I've seen naked ladies before professionally, blah, 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 right? And so Hannah's like, let me ask her. And she asked her, and Malia's answer, literally out of Malia's lips, was, nice try, Bobby. And so Hannah said, yeah, she said, nice try, but she'll be out shortly and she'll be wearing clothes and you can look at her then. And Bobby just was pissed. And it's like, girl, calm the fuck down. I mean, really? You're going to get pissed because you didn't get to see her because she wasn't wearing any clothes? I mean, she could have easily put on a towel or something. It wasn't that, if she was that fucked up. So obviously she wasn't that badly damaged up. She didn't need stitches, right? That was the first thing that came out of Captain Sandy's mouth was, does she need stitches? So then later on, so Malia and Hannah get drunk. And Hannah's just like, basically, you're the most adorable thing ever, and I just didn't want Bobby to see you and make you more uncomfortable, so I apologize. She's like, are you kidding? I so appreciate that, and I think you're beautiful, and you can be my big sister on this boat. And they were just real flirty with each other. Not like anything's going to happen, but they were very flirty. Kind of like how college girls are in the United States here when they kind of had a little too much to drink at the frat party. Ooh, then they start making out with each other. Kind of like that. Well, not at a frat party because frat boys would love that shit. But like when they have like one of those, wine and 50 Shades of Grey nights, right? And then, next thing you know, they're all making out. And that's really all they do, right? But so that's kind of what was going on. They didn't even kiss though, really. So they were just kind of being flirty. That's all. And Bobby immediately thinks that they're talking about him. Instantly, he's like, what were you saying about me? And Malia, also drunk, at this point is like, she was just giving me Bobby's secrets. And the reality is they didn't even say anything about Bobby at all. And Bobby blows up at Hannah. And it's like, fuck you. You're always trying to cock block me. And I watched last season. I don't ever remember Hannah ever specifically trying to cock block Bobby ever. So that was kind of weird. But I will say Hannah did have, so that's where all of this is coming from. This is all coming from last season, right? Okay, so I will say Hannah had the best line of the night. It was the best. She said, I'd walk a mile in anyone's shoes, but not if they're wearing fucking Crocs. Because Adam the chef was wearing Crocs. And that was so funny. I was thinking that there are various lines throughout Bravo shows that are hilarious. Like I say all the time, oh, kudos to you. And people think, you mean kudos. Actually, what I'm actually doing, that's actually a callback to, I think, season 2 of The Real Housewives of New York, when Ramona was in a confessional and she said, oh, kudos to us. And she meant to say kudos, but she said kudos. So now I'm kind of taking the piss out of her by saying, kudos. And I've been doing that ever since that show aired. Michael K. on D-Listed, he does the same thing, except he hasn't done it in quite some time, but kudos to you, Michael K. You know I love you. Okay, so... And the last thing I want to talk about, and Wes, now I don't know if it's a mole or if it's a scar or a scam, but he's got this beauty mark or something right here, and I'm not going to lie, it looks like a big herpy. And it's like, but I'm sure it probably isn't. I'm sure it just comes across on television like it is, but it looks like it's a total herpy, and I would be like, oh, okay. You gave me an R cup. Golden Girls reference. Okay, anyways. And the last thing is, so Bugsy, the South African stewardess, she's having a difficult time with Adam. And Adam he's very much, just don't talk to me when I'm working. Like, that's his whole thing. And she's like, it's so rude. And if I was a first stewardess, I would have, talked to him about that. And Hannah's like, oh, sweetie, babe, he's nowhere near as bad as Ben. So, and I bet you Kate Chastain would totally agree with that. And first of all, I think Hannah and Kate Chastain are basically the same person, just one's an Australian and one's an American. And I totally would pay money to see the two of them in a show together. I really would. I think it would be awesome. Anyways, that's it. I really love this show, though. It's great. So please feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for tuning in tonight. My handle is @AngelBenton. You can hashtag Below Deck Med to talk Below Deck Med. You can also hashtag Days to talk Days of Our Lives, which I'm going to be doing next, and I've got a lot to say about that. And you can feel free to hit that little subscribe button on YouTube, and you can get all of my wonderful daily recaps. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.